to the Today Night 5.1 home. It's the 20th day in the month of April 2023. And we have a new program. Of course, it's called Disability Rights Initiative Project Program. And today we're going to be having the first edition of the program. I have about 5 or 6 ladies, wonderful ladies, join me, but just 2 of them will be talking though. Well, just know that I'm surrounded with very beautiful ladies. The most blessed one among the ladies. And when you have ladies around, you're sure of good things. Yeah. Now, Disability Rights Initiative Radio Program will be a monthly discussion program by FAECARE Foundation, supported by Disability Rights Fund as part of Disability Rights Initiative Project, with the aim of promoting and advancing disability. All right, and we have the Executive Director of FAECARE Foundation. Yes, joining us in the program. Good to have you once again.
Thank you.
I know I hosted you once. That was why I was telling you long time. Probably you didn't.
And then I said that the long time now is you. It's you. Whether you're among the people that Japan and then changed their mind and came back, I don't know.
All right, thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you very much.
Now, what is FAECARE Foundation? Let's start from there.
Okay, so let me introduce the people in the studio,
Yes.
and then I'll introduce FAECARE Foundation. So,
What's the other one? I thought they were 5.
they're all around you. Like you said, bless them, how you feel about that. Because I have a team of young advocates. We call them disability advocates. We also have staff from the FAECARE Foundation. And I have Regional Gates. She's a disability advocate on the DRIP project. I have Azonka. She's also a disability advocate and a FAECARE volunteer. I have my staff, that's Joy and Mary, who are on video and camera, so you may not hear their voices. My name is Frecky Andresen. The full is Frecky is what everybody calls. And we are FAECARE Foundation, and FAECARE is an acronym for Frecky Andresen Care Foundation. It's an NGO with a vision that is to add value to the lives of target vulnerable groups. We have 3 main groups that we work with: persons with disabilities, youth, and then we turn other persons. Come up with programs and projects that speak to the different vulnerable groups that we work. And one of such programs is this program, which is Disability Rights Project Radio Program, which we have also turned Disability R Right I Initiative and P program, and the radio discussion to advance disability rights. We've done a lot with persons with disabilities, mainly with empowerment, especially women with disabilities, and then building capacity and a lot of media advocacy. But this particular project, which we could dive into later, is really targeted at persons with disabilities and focused on disability rights. So FAECARE Foundation will continue to work, and towards the end, we'll drop all our details to go check out what we do. God has really helped us to make the small impact that we're making.
Okay. Now, when you talk about disability, I won't conclude that everybody understands what disability really means, because people have defined it in different formats. Can you just expatiate?
Okay. So, this particular project, which is Disability Rights Initiative Project, is really focused on 2 aspects, which is building the capacity of persons with disabilities themselves, and also creating awareness, among other things. And this is very crucial for us, because now we're speaking to the general public. And like you said, this specific episode is focused on understanding disability. Why? Because there is no understanding or advancing disability rights without actually understanding disability. So for us in the disability community, the average person, in fact in society, like you said, when they hear the word disability, what comes to you is an obvious impairment. But for us in the community of persons with disabilities, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which Nigeria is a signatory to. And it takes the definition of disability beyond just a health condition or an obvious impairment, whether psychological, whether physiological, or whether anatomical. umbrella term, meaning that there are different types of disabilities that come under that word. And what it does is that it defines disability as impairment when it's obvious or not obvious in some cases, like psychosocial disability, now interacts with society and imposed by society by barriers or make the participation of persons with disabilities restricted, their activities restricted, unfair access with everyone. We begin to say that indeed disability has happened. Why is this important? Because it brings society into understanding that people have long-term impairments, they have long-term disabilities. There is really sometimes nothing you can do about that. But these persons have a right to ultimately function on equal basis with others in society. So you can't stop at seeing disability as a health condition. That is a very limiting view to seeing disability, but rather it is when an impairment now imposed by society causes that person to not be able to have full equal access as other persons, then we're now talking about disability, because there's a lot that can aggravate disability for persons, and society must begin to understand that some of these barriers are easy. Let's see your station. I didn't need to think to enter inside the station. I just that's what we mean, equal access, no restriction, just like everybody entered. I entered. There was no cause for alarm, no need to call heaven and earth. We just strolled in on equal levels with everybody. So this definition of disability is so crucial because it brings it back to society. It even takes it further to understand that disability is also about ensuring that the rights of persons with disabilities are not infringed on, because persons with disabilities are credible members of society. The society is a dynamic.
So I would want you to link it up with, the people living with disability are also within the society, but there are ways other people can relate with them and probably maybe exclude them ignorantly or knowingly or unknowingly, or also admit them into the system. I would want you to really talk about that.
Okay, so this program will be coming to you every month and we'll expand on all sorts. For example, one of the things I always stop right now is terminologies. One of the things that we in the disability community like or prefer to be referred to is persons with disabilities. So would like to eliminate the word living with disabilities. Yes, because some persons can have a disability, tomorrow they don't, but their experience is credible. So it's persons with disabilities. I understand where that word came from. It came from when the HIV thinking and Europe was saying HIV living with, but for persons with disabilities it's just PWDs, so there's no L there. So when it comes to what you spoke to, an example, and like I said in future episodes, this is just understanding disability. What you just explained is what we call attitudinal barriers, where you are responding to a person based on your perception of what you think disability is. So we're going to have a whole episode on that, where we will bring to you what some of these negative stereotypes are, because they are really, and that's the next episode, so many myths and misconceptions where we'll tell you what disability is not. Because your perception, a group's perception of disability informs how they respond to disability, and we are here to debunk all sorts of theories, So a person with disability is a person who has an obvious impairment that in interacting with society is not allowed or is not given equal access to participation and activities as others in society. So these are some of the things we really wanted to bring out, the importance of not limiting the concept of disability to just a health condition, because when you see that, what will happen is that you now have a limited view of what disability is. You take society out of it, you take the rights of the person out of it. So that's one key point that somebody should take home today.
But looking at the society, are there
continue. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to bring this before I go to the next. Yes. I wanted to just point out just a little of some of the impediments that people can bring in to either exclude persons with disability.
So like I said, Attitudinal barriers are one of the ways that persons can limit a person with disability. For example, if a person senses that a person with disability is no more than a person who is a beggar, the association that you're going to have with that person will be on the limited knowledge that you have of disability, which is begging. So that is one of the ways that persons exclude persons with disabilities. And I'm really appealing that we take this on as an episode where we come to speak to it and bring persons with disabilities to share their experiences. So that's one major way. Thank you.
Okay. Which view is prevalent in our society, River State?
So basically, there are 4 views that people have of persons with disabilities. The white person calls it models of disability. There are 4. The first one is the charity model. The second one is the medical model. The third one is the social model. And the fourth one is the rights model of disability. It's important because as we speak, I want people to begin to assess where their view has been lined up for a while. And because I'm not alone, I want Azonta to speak on some of the models, and then I will come back and tell you which one is most prevalent and which one is preferred in society.
All right. In these models, we have the charity models, we have the medical models, we have the social models, and the rights models. Then in terms of the charity models, this is a model that views persons with disabilities as object of pity, one who needs help or a beggar. That they see the person as someone who just needs a support or rehabilitation to take care of the disability. And here, this portrays that person now to be as dependent on people,
others,
on others, and make the person, at times, this makes the person feel lesser because the person depends on others for help in terms of charity models. Then the medical model sees disability as one who just needs medical assistance or medical help or treatment. For them, the remedy is just to seek for medical help and nothing else. If you seek for medical help, you are good to go. So they don't just see a disability as maybe, they just see it as something that caused by sickness or something like sickness. It's not just maybe seeing that person. That's why some have this misconception, or some may even see disability as being contagious because they felt that the person needs to be cured in terms of medical models. Then we have the social models. This is whereby the environment is seen as the problem. So the interaction with the environment now is one that excludes the person with disability, not even the disability, because most times you see that they don't have access to many places. Like I was going to somewhere and there's step, but there's nowhere to run or something I can just hold myself. You see that that thing has become that interaction. So in this aspect now, this is the society that is the disabling factor in terms of disability. Then we have the right models. We all are human beings, and disability is a human right. So persons with disability should not be seen as those you are doing favor. Okay, I'm offering you this help. I'm just doing a favor to you, not looking at what that person can contribute or
because they are all created by God. Every human is created by God.
Yes. So these right models now sees persons with disability as someone that has the right and equal participation with others in the society, not just someone that you can pity or you can favor, just to help the person move on.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Is brought to you by FAECARE Foundation, supported by Disability Rights Fund as part of Disability Rights Initiative Project. Disability Rights Initiative Program, promoting and advancing disability rights.
good to have you once again. We still have the Executive Director of FAECARE Foundation with our team, and this is DRIP, Disability Rights Initiative Radio Program. FAECARE, let's now look at what should be the best or preferred approach or view to disability.
So you've had Azomta. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
So we've had Azomta, speaking to the four models. And what she's done is carefully explain. And I know somebody's listening and is examining to see the interactions that you've had with persons with disabilities so far. Has it been only charity-based? So before I interject to say which is best, I just want to mention that there is no model that is wrong, but a model or a view on disability becomes wrong when it aggravates or causes even more disabilities. So for example, the charity model. If you feel that this person should not be anything more than at your beck and call, or you'll be the benevolent person, so the acronym or the adage that says teach a person to fish, don't just give the person fish, comes into there. In fact, I like to take it further, and I always tell the person, these days there's fishery, fish pond, teach a person to grow the fish. So the person won't come to you again. But think about the charity model like that. When you think of a person that is begging, the person is perpetually on the ground. And you don't want a person, a human being, to be left on the ground. So while welfare of humans is good, that's social protection, where it is now the order of the day and leaves the person as an object of pity, we start having a problem with it. The medical model, where it is good, because rehabilitation is so important to improving the quality of life of persons with disabilities. But when other rights are denied the person because you are waiting for the person to get well. So let me give an instance. You have a child who has a disability, and the early intervention is there. But this time for the child to go to school, and there are provisions for the child to go to school. But you as a person, because your mind is leading with the medical model of disability or the medical way of thinking, the thought is this: let that child get well first before. And most times that child would only continue to improve with medical intervention depending on the type of disability. I can say this categorically because I know persons who continue to make me and say that you are not actively seeking for healing. Why? Because they see me engaging in other parts of society apart from as opposed to going from, and I don't say there's anything wrong, as opposed to going from crusade to prayer house to prayer house. You see the difference? So because I'm still pursuing my education, I'm going to school, I'm getting my degrees, I'm getting this and that. So the perception of a person who is leading medical is like, you're not actively seeking for how to be cured. Now, once again, in fact, we advocate for rehabilitation because it improves your quality of life. But where the thinking is that this person should stop and focus on this one, we'll start having a challenge with it. Same thing with the social model. The social model is an improvement on the rest of them, on others, because now it brings society and puts some responsibility on society to begin to consciously take away the barriers that aggravate the disablement process. I used a key example. We did not need to look for how to get into this building. As everybody was strolling in, we too we strolled in. But the aggravating factor would have been that we come here, we see the steps, because there are steps on one side, there's a ramp on the other side, and then we come, we see the steps, and then it's a whole production where we get the gate man, we get the other security, just because we want to advance and enter a building. That is impairment or disability interacting with the environment to cause a problem. So now the social factor, what it does is that it puts responsibility on your back. Do the right thing, especially you're offering a public service. Every person coming for your service or product is different, so let it be that you're able to come into you and assess what you're offering. Now the rights model, which is where I'm going to, is a better and one of the best approaches to disability, because what it does is that it doesn't now make removing of barriers for persons with disabilities a suggestion or the good, only it's good for that person. But we kind of understand that this is actually the right of that person to access whatever on an equal terms with more. And this plays out because persons have to be careful, because you hear people, especially our benevolent persons in the faith community, in company, like, oh, we do so much, especially when we go for advocacy, oh, we do so much for persons with disability. And we say, yes, thank you so much. But for example, and now when I was interacting with an opportunity to speak with the council of churches in, I think it was in Abuja, Nigeria, And I just thought they were so excited because, in their opinion, they were doing so much for persons with disabilities. And then I asked a simple question that was like shaking table. I now asked, dear sirs, how many persons with disabilities are worshippers in your assembly? And it was like, yeah. But we are doing, I said, no. What is the primary function of FBOs, of faith, of a church or a mosque? Is for worship. So if a person with disability is not able to access your worship, you know that you're not doing. So they now began to understand that this is where we talk about right to freedom of worship. So it takes
in as much as every other person have the right to go to church or a mosque,
should be
or
able
every
to,
other faith-based organization to receive from.
So this person
should also have access.
Yes. So that is a clear example of the difference between charity, where you are benevolent. It's good, but understand that this person, beyond what you can give, because a person will not improve more than what you can give the person. But if you empower that person to go beyond, there's a lot that can happen for that person. That's just an example. So a better view to disability is the right approach, while considering that, yes, welfare is important, medical is important, that social component of learning as social beings is important, but understanding that...
But they also give that to other people who are not with disabilities. So it should be, just like you said, the right model.
The right
In as much as every other person have access to medicals, have access to place of worship, have access to work anywhere, persons with disability also have that right.
Yes, so the right model is the best approach, and this transcends individual notions. So companies should have policies that speak to inclusion. That's an example of understanding the rights of a person. So you're not looking for any specialized thing. It's a default mode for, and honestly, as the program goes on, we'll continue to speak more on these rights, because ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Let's now look at your message to the government, the society, organization, individuals, and even persons with disabilities.
Okay, so once again, I'm not selfish. I like to share joy. So, as long as I speak and enjoy, you will try and say something. Just speak, give a and then I'll come back. Keep it short, yeah? All right, so, joy girl. Not the other one. All right, so what message on understanding disability do you have? Pick anybody and you make it short.
All right. My message to the persons with disabilities is that we shouldn't give up. We are making impact. It's very true. We shouldn't give up. As persons with disabilities, we shouldn't give up. We should stand for our rights at any given time. Thank you.
Okay. Assumpta?
Okay, my message to the society is to see persons with disabilities as person first and not the situation first. Those that deserve their rights and not those that they are just offering a favor.
Awesome. Okay. And for me, I would, Joy has spoken to persons with disabilities, and Azonta has spoken to the society. And let me speak to government. And I'll speak to two people, the government and the private sector. So the government, which is the public sector, I just want to mention that you are like the beacon or the example, and you are the custodian of the systems and institutions in this country and state. And we are asking that for persons with disabilities that we need to become a bit more, especially in river states, we have to be more intentional about advancing the rights of persons with disabilities in this river state. Many states are doing quite well, but river states were really backward when it comes to the rights of persons with disabilities. In fact, we have not yet gotten the memo very well. So I'm speaking to our government custodians, the three arms, legislators, judiciary, the executive office, especially those who are coming into power, that there is a group of persons with disabilities, a group of persons in your citizenry, persons with disabilities, who you need to speak to, not just in the charity way, where maybe International Day of Persons with Disability, they gather and share rights. No, that's not what we're talking about. But to begin to push and advance the rights of this part of persons. Then I want to speak to the private sector. Sometimes persons in the private sector don't think that inclusion or accessibility or disability rights concerns them. But I just want to mention that as long as you are offering a public service, a product, and then you are catering to the general public, that it is important for you to begin to consider inclusion and disability rights as so crucial. have a strategy in your small company, your mid-sized company, whatever it is that you're doing in the private sector around disability. So that is my message today. And understand that disability goes beyond health condition, and that you also play a part in either disabling a person further or improving a person's ability to access and participate in life fully. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk. How can they contact you?
Oh, okay. So first of all, we want to really thank Media Corps, that's the FM, for partnering with us to bring this to you every month. We come every Thursday by 12:30 p.m. on Today FM 95.1. I'm not taking your job, I promise. So for us at FAECARE Foundation, you can check our website. It's www.faecarefoundation.org. So for clarity, so let me use food. F for fish, A for agege bread, E for egg, C for, which would it be? C for catfish, A for apple, R for rice, and E for another egg. So FAECARE Foundation, www.faecarefoundation.org. You can go to any social media platform, that's Facebook, Instagram, and you type FAECARE and will show up. FAECARE Foundation or FAECARE will show up. And then for Twitter, it's FAECARE_org. By way of email, you can reach us at faecarefoundation.info@gmail.com. And finally, for numbers, you can reach us on 0813 200 2158. I'll take it again. 081-3200-2158. Again, 081 3200-2158. Or if you want to reach me directly, that's 080, I'll say that one fast, 080-371-09285.
That's not fair. All right. We'll be having another edition of Disability Rights Initiative program. From what I'm seeing, every third Thursday of the month.
Yes, we're here with you.
Every third Thursday of the month, 12:30 p.m.
Yes.
This program will be coming up again. And Freck over here, she's the Executive Director of FAECARE Foundation, FAECARE. That's FAECARE Foundation. Thank you, Fraka, for coming.
Thank you, and thanks for having
Azonka,
us.
thank you so much.
Thank you. You're
and
welcome.
the other wonderful ladies, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Persons with disabilities value many of the same subjects considered important by others in the society. With the National Disability Act and the elections in Nigeria, there is no better time than now to be intentional about building an inclusive society for all. These are the tenets of a democratic society. Let's change the narrative. This message is brought to you by FAECARE Foundation, supported by Disability Rights Fund as part of Disability Rights Initiative projects.
Radio has never been this good.